Have you ever caught yourself thinking about what to say next instead of truly listening to what the other person is saying? Be honest. It often feels like we're more focused on impressing than genuinely connecting. But here's a powerful truth. Listening is one of the most impactful ways to show respect and genuine interest. And you know what it can bring? Deeper relationships, trust, and even admiration. If you want to understand how active listening can transform not just your relationships, but also the way you communicate, this video is for you. Today, we'll explore why women value men who know how to listen, and how this simple yet powerful skill can set you apart. Stay with me until the end, because I'll show you practical steps to master this art. Plus, we'll connect all of this to Stoicism, an ancient philosophy that teaches the value of self-control and wisdom in human interactions. Ready to get started? You've probably wondered why so many conversations feel shallow or even frustrating. Often, the issue isn't what's being said, but what's not being heard. The truth is, many men, and this might include you, end up focusing too much on preparing the next brilliant sentence instead of truly connecting with what the other person is sharing. This behavior has deep roots. First, there's the fear of silence. In a conversation, that brief pause can feel uncomfortable, as if it needs to be filled immediately with words. Then there's constant social pressure to impress, especially in romantic interactions. We want to show that we're interesting, smart, or funny, and that leads us to dominate the conversation without realizing it. Finally, there's a subtler factor, a lack of awareness about the impact of active listening. When someone speaks to us, they're looking for more than automatic responses. They're seeking validation, empathy, and presence. Imagine sharing something important, maybe a work challenge or a personal achievement, and realizing the other person is just waiting for their turn to speak. How does that make you feel? Probably ignored or underestimated. This habit, though common, can be harmful. It creates invisible barriers in relationships, preventing authentic connections from flourishing. Here's the key point. By ignoring the importance of active listening, you may be sabotaging your chances of building deep and meaningful bonds. But the good news is that this skill can be developed, and that's exactly what we're going to explore now. Let's dive into what it means to truly listen and how it can transform your interactions. So, what does it really mean to listen? Active listening goes far beyond just hearing the words someone is saying. It's about being present in the moment, paying attention not only to the verbal content, but also to emotions, intentions, and even what's left unsaid. When you listen this way, you show that you value the other person, and few things can match the emotional impact of that. But how do we put this into practice? There are some key elements that turn a simple conversation into a meaningful connection. The first is eye contact. Looking into someone's eyes while they're speaking conveys confidence and genuine interest. It doesn't have to be an intense or intimidating stare, just something natural and comfortable. Next comes the art of asking open-ended questions. Instead of responding with short phrases or ready-made solutions, try asking, "How did that make you feel?" Or, "What do you think could help in this situation?" This shows that you're engaged and want to understand more deeply. Another crucial point is validating feelings. Sometimes, all someone needs is to know their emotions are understood. Simple phrases like, "That must have been tough for you," or "I can imagine how you feel," may seem small, but they have a huge impact. They communicate empathy and make the other person feel seen and heard. And here's where a powerful lesson from Stoicism comes in. The ancient philosophers taught that self-control begins with the ability to listen before speaking. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic thinkers, once said, Nature gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth, so that we may listen more and talk less. This principle is especially relevant today, in a world where everyone seems eager to express their opinions. By adopting this mindset, you not only improve your interactions, but also develop humility and wisdom. This is the essence of active listening, being present, showing genuine interest, and creating a safe space for the other person to express themselves. Now that we understand this concept better, let's explore why it's so valued by women and how it can transform your relationships. Now that we've grasped what active listening is and how to practice it, let's delve into why this skill is so highly valued by women and how it can profoundly transform your relationships. The truth is, women, in general, tend to prioritize meaningful emotional connections. They want to feel understood, respected, and supported. And guess what? Active listening is one of the most effective ways to demonstrate exactly that. When you listen actively, you're sending a clear message. I care about what you're feeling and experiencing. This creates an environment of trust and safety, where the other person feels comfortable sharing their vulnerabilities. And this isn't just speculation. Psychological studies show that women are naturally more sensitive to signs of empathy and emotional validation. When you validate their feelings, even with small gestures like nodding or saying, "I understand what you mean," you're building a solid foundation for an authentic relationship. Let's consider a practical example. Imagine she's telling you about a challenge at work. Maybe she had a tough day or faced a complicated situation. If your response is something like, "You should have done this," or "That's nothing, it happens to everyone," you might end up minimizing what she feels. But now imagine you say, "That must have been frustrating. How are you handling it?" This approach makes all the difference. You're not only acknowledging the weight of the situation, but also showing genuine interest in understanding how she feels. Additionally, active listening generates admiration. Women tend to value men who can control the impulse to dominate the conversation or offer automatic solutions. When you listen without interrupting, you demonstrate emotional maturity and wisdom, qualities that are extremely attractive. This behavior also reflects respect, which is fundamental to any healthy relationship. Here's an important point. Listening doesn't mean you have to agree with everything or solve all problems. Often, what she's looking for is simply to be heard, without judgment or pressure. By adopting this attitude, you're creating a safe space where she can be herself, and few things can replace that. Understanding this aspect of communication is a game changer. Now that we know why women value men who know how to listen, let's move on to the next step, learning how to develop this skill in a practical and applicable way in everyday life. Now that we understand the powerful impact of active listening, it's time to put it all into practice. The good news is that this skill can be developed with awareness and training. I'll guide you through some practical steps you can start applying today, and that will make a real difference in your interactions. The first step is to silence your mind. It sounds simple, but it's not easy. Often, while someone is speaking, our mind is already racing, thinking about what we're going to say next. This happens because we fear silence or want to appear interesting. But here's the secret. Silence isn't the enemy. Before responding, take a deep breath and process what was said. This not only helps you better understand the message, but also demonstrates that you're truly present. Remember, natural pauses in conversation are normal and even healthy. The second step is to avoid interruptions. This may seem obvious, but we often interrupt without even realizing it, whether to agree, disagree, or offer a solution. However, interrupting can make the other person feel undervalued. Instead, practice patience. Let them finish their thought completely before responding. This creates a natural flow in the conversation and shows respect for their space. The third step is to use body language. Our gestures and expressions speak as loudly as our words. Lean slightly forward, maintain eye contact, and nod occasionally. These small actions convey interest and validation. Also, avoid crossing your arms or looking at your phone. These behaviors can signal disinterest, even if that's not your intention. Finally, the fourth step is to ask relevant questions. Open-ended questions are a powerful tool to deepen the conversation and show that you're engaged. For example, instead of asking something generic like, "Did you like the movie?" Try something more specific. What did you find most interesting about the movie? This type of question invites the other person to share more, creating a more meaningful connection. These steps may seem simple, but together they form a solid foundation for practicing active listening. And here's an important connection to Stoicism. By listening without interrupting or judging, you're practicing the emotional self-control that the Stoics valued so highly. You're choosing to respond with wisdom rather than reacting impulsively. With these tools in hand, you're ready to transform your daily interactions. Now, let's wrap up with a final reflection and a call to action so you can take all of this forward. We've reached the end, but this is just the beginning of your journey to mastering the art of active listening. To recap, listening isn't just about processing words, it's about showing respect, genuine interest, and empathy. When you practice active listening, you create deeper connections, build trust and admiration, and stand out as someone who truly values the people around you. Remember the practical steps we discussed: silencing your mind, avoiding interruptions, using body language, and asking relevant questions. These small changes can have a huge impact on your interactions. And remember Stoicism. By listening before speaking, you're practicing a form of wisdom that transcends centuries. Now it's up to you. The next time you're in a conversation, try putting these tips into practice. Notice how the dynamic shifts and how you feel more connected. That's the power of active listening. If this video helped you, I have a small request. Give it a thumbs up. It really helps me reach more people and continue bringing valuable content like this. Also, share it with a friend who needs to hear this. Healthy relationships and effective communication are skills everyone should develop. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more content that will help you grow in your relationships and in life. Together, we can grow and become better versions of ourselves. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.